I am Syrian Kellen. This is not my real voice. It is a computer-generated artificial intelligence voice. You may know me from my long career in both theatre and movies. I am most well known for playing Gandalf in the movie Lord of the Rings. Today, I will narrate this presentation produced by Michael F. Reber. In today's presentation, I wish to address Holarchical Innovation Teams, or HITS, and how the HITS discipline is beneficial to Webster University. The questions we will address include the following. First, what are Holarchical Innovation Teams? Second, what is the HITS discipline? Third, why is Webster University an ideal liberal arts college for HITS? And fourth, how can HITS be applied at Webster? These 5 major ways exist in which HITS benefit Webster. These include enhancing interdisciplinary learning, building upon student-centered learning, fostering creative work and innovation, cultivating human dignity and ethical leadership, and, finally, leveraging Webster's global campus network. What are HITS? Before I can address what are HITS, I first need to address the hierarchical paradigm. The world is in a paradigm shift. For 5,000 years, humanity has lived under hierarchical systems. Today, the world is traversing into a new paradigm. It is called the hierarchical paradigm. Examples include artificial intelligence and robotics. More importantly, it represents a new way of thinking. Instead of thinking linearly, people in this new paradigm think hierarchically. This includes thinking creatively and systemically. Sir Arthur Koestler was the first person to write extensively about hierarchies. He published The Ghost in the Machine in 1967 and Janus in 1978. Because there were no words for hierarchies, he created the word holan. Holus is the Greek for whole. On is the suffix for part. Hierarchy is a system of holans. Hierarchies eliminate the dichotomies of far and close, small and large, inside and outside. The universe is full of hierarchies. Look at the picture to the left of your screen. A holan is both a part and a whole of an entity. The entity is a hierarchy or super-holan. For example, a tree is a hierarchy while the branches are separate holans. The human body also can be considered a hierarchy. The human body has separate and distinct parts, but each one contributes to the total of the human body. This concept of hierarchy has great implications for the way we humans organize our social systems. During the pandemic, people were forced to work from home using advanced technologies. This meeting we are having now is an example of a hierarchical system. We are able to overcome the time and space limitations of previous centuries. Instead of working in a hierarchy, people can now work in a hierarchical system. Dr. Reber was the first person to write about Holarchical Innovation Teams, or HITS. Let us now define a Holarchical Innovation Team. HITS are self-assembling teams working together in an obligate, mutualistic, symbiotic relationship, according to the principles of combinatory systems theory, moving from one innovation project to the next, up the competency and topic altitude, and across the topic spectrum of innovation, to produce high-quality, low-cost, and innovative products. Now that we have a definition of HITS, let us next explore the HITS philosophy. HITS is grounded in a philosophy of self-actualization. It is an obligation to oneself to actualize one's potential by the complementarity and congeniality of personal excellences with other members in the HIT to form a symbiotic relationship, to create value efficiently, effectively, economically, and ethically for the betterment of customers and society. The hit's philosophy is a tripartite philosophy. The base of the hit is human dignity. Human dignity is actualized by creative work. Creative work is best done by holarchical combinatory value creation. Holarchical combinatory value creation is best achieved by hits. Human dignity is defined as acknowledgement of, recognition with, and empathy for an individual's irredeemable worth that is to be progressively actualized by oneself and with others in order to foster the complementarity and congeniality of personal excellences. Human dignity can be expressed as an equation. Human dignity equals acknowledgement plus recognition plus empathy. Creative work is comprised of 4 synergistic elements: live, create, enjoy, love. The meaning of live is the living out a self-actualizing life. The meaning of create is creating from one's imagination something of value for society to enjoy. Enjoy is enjoying created value in terms of utilitarian and self-actualizing purposes. Love means willing the good of the other. Now, that we have an understanding of the hits philosophy, let us explore the science of hits. Doctors Reber and Gottsöller, in their hits philosophy paper, write that holarchical combinatory value creation exists when self-actualizing individuals form themselves into a holarchical social unit within a combinatory manner as a means to establish synergies that in turn create a value-added product for society. This illustration is a basic causal loop diagram that shows the dynamics of how holarchical combinatory value creation operates within a larger organization. I will explain more later in my presentation. In addition, Reber and Gottsöller state that holarchical combinatory value creation is holism, self-actualization ethics, systems thinking, with systems thinkers best suited for a fast-paced, interconnected, and chaotic world, self-generated and self-organized. Let us continue and explore the idea of combinatory action in combinatory systems. It's operate according to the theory of combinatory systems. In the picture to the left, a crowd of people at a football game are performing the wave. The wave is a combination of each person's individual actions. An individual can be identified as a single whole. When an individual combines his or her actions with others, we call it combinatory action. The definition of combinatory action is when members of a hit, consciously or unconsciously, act exclusively or prevalently based on global information that the members themselves directly produce and abate as the consequence of their micro-behavior and the micro-macro feedback in achieving the mission and purpose of the hit. Now, let us consider this in regards to the confectionery industry. Reber Chocolate Company is a famous confectionery company that is 160 years old. It is headquartered in Bad Reichenhall, Germany, with elegant cafes, cakes, and, of course, Mozart kuchens. Reber is only a little over 30 minutes from Mozart's birthplace in Salzburg, Austria. Now, let us suppose that even if Reber is a 160-year-old company, it utilizes Holarchical Innovation Teams. We have 3 people who create a hit. They are Jack, Jane, and Sarah. Their mission is to create a chocolate kuchen that people will want to eat and give as gifts to others. Let us explore more deeply the science of hits Here, we have what we call a hits matrix. At Raber Company, Jane is an expert in R&D. While they are in the lounge, they have a conversation about chocolate Kulgans. Jane asks, would it not be wonderful if we could create a better chocolate Kulgan that is more unique, more attractive, and tastier than the current Kulgan? Jack and Sarah think that would be a wonderful idea, because each one of them is an expert in key functions of Raber Company. They decide to create a hit. Look at the left of the screen. The three disciplines of R&D, manufacturing, and marketing are essential functions to develop a chocolate Kulgan. Therefore, we say each discipline equals a hierarchy. Now, look at the center of the screen. This arrangement is called a hits matrix. Now, let us return to our causal loop diagram in order to explore the dynamics of a hit as a combinatory system. This is a heuristic model of Raber Company's hit for Jack, Jane, and Sarah. As we stated previously, their mission is to create a chocolate Kulgan that people will want to eat and give as gifts to others. Therefore, the necessitating factors for creating the hit are a Kulgan that is unique, attractive, and tasty. The micro-behaviors of Jack, Jane, and Sarah produce the prototype Kulgan. The prototype Kulgan is called the micro-effects of Jack, Jane, and Sarah's combined work. The micro-effects are recombined to produce the macro-behavior. Let us suppose that Jack, Jane, and Sarah are attending a chocolate connoisseurs conference. By chance, they meet confectionery critics at the conference and receive informal feedback on their prototype Kulgan. In addition, they receive formal feedback through Raber Company. This is one of the key differences between an organization in the hierarchical paradigm and an organization in the holarchical paradigm. Raber Company has a corporate governance framework that allows employees to form hits, unlike the traditional corporation, where people must work within strict organizational silos. Holarchical corporations permit employees to break out of their functional silos to create hits. This allows for faster innovation and go-to-market, thereby servicing customers better and faster. In summary, we can identify some implications of the holarchical paradigm. These include, first, reimagining organizations as self-actualizing, social, combinatory systems. Second, dissolving the time-space organizational dichotomy. This makes organizations more efficient, more effective, more economical, and more ethical. Third, applying artificial intelligence and machine learning to match people according to skill, interest, and personality. Fourth, emphasizing people over machines by focusing on creativity, collaboration, innovation, and self-actualization. Now that we have an understanding of the holarchical paradigm, let us explore the hits discipline. What exactly is the hits discipline? We can define the discipline in such a manner. It is an interdisciplinary, systems science discipline that studies and practices designing, enabling, and sustaining teams as self-actualizing wholes within nested systems, integrating philosophical foundations, structural principles, and systemic methodologies to drive creativity, human dignity, and combinatory value creation across individual, team, and organizational levels. Even with these new insights into both the hierarchical paradigm and the HITS discipline, the question remains, why should the HITS discipline be at Webster University? Well, for starters, one can argue that as a global local liberal arts college, Webster is well positioned for the 21st century by blending ethics with modern systems theory and cutting-edge artificial intelligence. The HITS discipline offers a robust framework for cultivating teams who innovate, collaborate, and thrive in an interconnected world. Anya McLean, in her article published in Higher Education Dive, writes that experts predict skills like critical thinking and creativity will be more coveted as artificial intelligence replaces some technical jobs. This means Webster is well situated to implement HITS as a discipline and provide its students with the hierarchical thinking and problem-solving required for work in the 21st century. Now that we have addressed why HITS is an excellent fit at Webster, let us give an overview on the applicability of HITS at Webster. We can identify at least 4 opportunities for Webster in terms of application. These include cultivating interdisciplinary collaboration, enhancing creativity, developing problem-solving skills, and fostering partnerships with local businesses. So, let us delve deeper and inquire into 5 benefits for Webster with HITS. The first benefit is enhancing interdisciplinary learning. The second is building upon student-centered learning. The third is fostering creative work and innovation. The fourth is cultivating human dignity and ethical leadership. And finally, leveraging Webster's global campus network. In regards to enhancing interdisciplinary learning, let us recall that the HITS tripartite model is comprised of human dignity, creative work, and Holarchical combinatory value creation that invites participants to integrate knowledge across domains rather than siloed disciplines. A domain in this context means a broader sphere of knowledge or expertise, whereas a discipline is a more formalized branch of study or academic field with methods, traditions, and institutions. In this table, we have a few examples of domains and their disciplines. If we were to consider hierarchical systems as a domain, its corresponding disciplines would be systems theory, sociology, and political science. Let us consider 3 specific benefits for interdisciplinary learning at Webster. The first is integrated liberal arts, in which students are encouraged to draw upon multiple liberal arts fields such as history, philosophy, science, arts, and quantitative reasoning, which aligns with Webster's Global Citizenship Program structure of 6 knowledge areas. One example of integrated liberal arts can be what we call a Holarchical Innovation Incubator. This is a dedicated lab at Webster's St. Louis campus, where students from business, media studies, psychology, and computer science could assign community projects. Faculty mentors rotate by semester to ensure cross-disciplinary perspectives. Another specific benefit for interdisciplinary learning at Webster with HITS includes structured team projects. These could be team projects where business majors collaborate with media, psychology, and STEM students, mirroring real-world hierarchical systems. One example of this can be a team science and systems thinking course that is co-taught by the departments of sociology and computer science, in which students apply case-based modules to map social systems and build integrated solutions. This diagram is an adaptation of the Toyota human systems model for hierarchical Innovation Teams. It's a standard system science model for human resource management and quality value creation. As we just mentioned co-teaching, let us expand upon this as a third benefit for interdisciplinary learning at Webster. With its co-teaching can be thought of as a platform for faculty to provide experimental courses that blend ethics, creativity, and systems thinking. One example of this can be a research project, such as the Urban Resiliency Holarchical Project. This is a multi-year study that brings together environmental science, public policy, and fine arts, faculty, and students to prototype sustainable streetscapes in Ferguson, Missouri, using holarchical value creation metrics, such as expanding green spaces along the street by 70% and reducing impervious surfaces, like asphalt, by 34% to manage storm water in a sustainable manner. The second major benefit to address is building upon student-centered learning at Webster by integrating both student-centered learning applications and holarchical innovation teamwork. Students create artifacts, both with and without artificial intelligence software, such as Microsoft Copilot. One specific benefit of HITS in student-centered learning is that it enhances team building and collaborative skills. Students can gain real-world experience in assembling and working within diverse teams, guided by artificial intelligence-driven insights. This builds not only technical skills, but also interpersonal dynamics, critical for future careers. Activity card learning platforms are one example of this kind of learning. These are artificial intelligence platforms, which allow students to select discipline-focused learning activity cards that in turn places or matches students into teams. When cards are selected for in-class or out-of-class activities and all projects. From 1998 to 2003, Dr. Riba developed an activity platform using JavaScript at Kanazawa Institute of Technology in Japan. Students were able to choose their English language learning activity cards asynchronously, such as in this picture. In addition to students choosing cards, the platform matched them holarchically into teams. This means that when a student chooses a single card, such as a card that requires a group of 6 members to create a scene for Romeo and Juliet, she or he will be matched with other students who choose the same card. Once students are matched into teams, they then proceed to do the activity, whether in class or out of class, depending upon the instructions in the card. This student-centered approach to learning applies the holarchical, combinatory value creation synergies I discussed earlier. Therefore, this kind of learning mirrors the future holarchical work environments in which Webster students will find themselves after graduation. The second specific benefit of HITS in student-centered learning is that it helps students create personalized and adaptive learning paths. By allowing students to choose activity cards that align with their strengths and interests, learning becomes more engaging. This fosters self-directed exploration and encourages a deeper understanding of interdisciplinary concepts. The third specific benefit of HITS in student-centered learning is that it provides data-driven insights for faculty and program development. Artificial intelligence tools, such as the Activity Cards platform, provide valuable analytics on team performance, learning outcomes, and student engagement in order to assist faculty with refining teaching methods and adjusting course content to maximize impact. Collaborative research, such as with the International Personality Item Pool, or IPIP, Team Matching Research Project, is one example of this. The IPIP Team Matching Research Project is an interdisciplinary team of faculty and students who integrates the EPIP-NEO framework with the activity cards learning platform to conduct ethnographic analysis in order to explore optimal personality matches for diverse learning environments, shedding light on how tailored team configurations enhance collaboration and academic outcomes. The third major benefit to address is fostering creative work and innovation at Webster. It's placed creative work at their core, turning abstract theory into tangible outcomes and preparing students for dynamic careers. One way to foster creative work and innovation is through experiential learning. Experiential learning is learning through iterative design, prototyping, and reflection, which mirrors Webster's hands-on, high-impact learning experiences, such as internships and study abroad. One example of experiential learning at Webster could be a maker studio with a HITS fellowship. This is a makerspace equipped for rapid prototyping, such as with 3D printing and electronics, where HITS fellows tackle real-world briefs. For example, low-cost, assistive devices, co-developed with local nonprofits, such as pencil grips, that help those with fine motor difficulties write comfortably and with better control. A second specific benefit of HITS in fostering creative work and innovation is the complementarity and congeniality of personal excellences. As you recall, I stated that the complementarity and congeniality of personal excellences is essential for HITS to operate. Within a Webster University learning context, emphasis is on cultivating a culture of generosity and eudaimonism, where team members leverage personal excellences for collective value, rather than competing for discrete tasks. One example of this could be a course entitled Creativity and Innovation in Practice. This is a course inspired by Harvard University's Department of Continuing Education's Creativity and Innovation course. It is a 4-month elective course that blends case studies, group projects, and hands-on exercises to turn abstract ideas into market-ready prototypes. In fact, if we were to consider the human systems model value stream, starting with college students and ending with innovators, this course could be offered in special curated formats for each point along the value stream. The possibilities are endless. The third specific benefit of HITS in fostering creative work and innovation is combinatory value creation research. Webster faculty can create a master matrix research agenda on combinatory value creation, which in turn opens opportunities for publication and grant funding in organizational innovation. Let us consider one example of how this could work in practice with the research initiative called iterative eudaimonic design. In this research context, faculty and student teams apply experiential learning cycles to design joyful workspaces, measuring collective flourishing and creative outputs throughout the semester. The fourth major benefit to address is cultivating human dignity and ethical leadership at Webster. By centering human dignity, it's reinforced virtues essential for global citizenship and community of care. A program of virtues and ethics instills integrity, respect, and ethical reasoning as foundational team principles, thereby extending Webster's values of diversity, equity, and inclusion into collaborative practice. One example of this at Webster could be an ethical leadership lab. This is a simulation-based lab where students role-play governance dilemmas, integrating virtues such as fidelity, bravery, and integrity, drawn from its philosophy. A second specific benefit of HITS in cultivating human dignity and ethical leadership is developing leadership competencies. This means developing competencies that prioritize the soft disparity between minimalist rules, ethics, and character-based eudaimonism, preparing students to navigate complex moral landscapes. One example of this could be a course entitled Moral Leadership in Organizations and Society, which mirrors Harvard Kennedy School's Public Leadership Credential Course B. This asynchronous module teaches moral trade-off analysis and the practice of noblesse oblige in collaborative settings. The third specific benefit of HITS in cultivating human dignity and ethical leadership is engaged citizenship. This aligns with Webster's mission of nurturing learners who are engaged citizens and catalysts for change through compassionate, principled action. Let us consider one example of how this could work in practice with the collaborative research initiative called Research Ethics and Integrity in HITS. In this research context, a faculty-led research group uses scaffolded, case-based role play to train early career researchers in integrity and leadership competencies, tracking how moral reasoning evolves in team contexts. The fifth and final major benefit to address is leveraging Webster's global campus network. It's naturally scale across Webster's 70-plus global locations, creating an overlay of hierarchical nodes that transcends geographic boundaries. Because of this natural hierarchical structure of learning nodes, Webster can provide virtual hits and cross-cultural exchange amongst its faculty and students, such as in St. Louis, Geneva, Athens, Leiden, Vienna, Shanghai, Tbilisi, and Tashkent. One example of this at Webster could be a virtual global hits lab. This is an online node linking cohorts in Geneva, Shanghai, and Tbilisi for synchronous sprints on cross-cultural innovation challenges supported by local alumni mentors. A second specific benefit of HITS in leveraging Webster's global campus network is its 13,000-strong student and alumni network, as I just mentioned regarding the virtual global HITS lab. Another example of leveraging this network could be a course entitled Global Collaborative Innovation Seminar. This course mirrors the University of Tokyo's Global Unit Courses model. It is a short, intensive course that brings together students from Webster's Vienna and Athens campuses to co-create startup concepts and pitch to regional investors, leveraging those locations' regional networks. The third specific benefit of HITS in leveraging Webster's global campus network is multi-campus faculty collaboration on research projects, thereby strengthening Webster's brand as a leader in innovative liberal arts education. One example of how this could work is a multi-campus longitudinal research project, assessing how hierarchical teams on different continents configure personal excellences and generate combinatory value, which in turn informs best practices for global collaboration, such as the St. Louis campus, which would focus on team dynamics in the pharmaceutical industry, and the Vienna campus, which would focus on team dynamics with Rubber Chocolate Company, and the creation of Mozart Kogans, as well as the Tbilisi campus, which would focus on team dynamics in the ceramic industry, such as in the making of teacups, pots, and accessories. This concludes my presentation. Let me recap the key points of Holarchical Innovation Teams and Webster University. The world is in a paradigm shift toward a hierarchical paradigm. This makes Webster an ideal liberal arts university for HITS. Furthermore, we can identify at least 5 benefits of HITS for Webster. The first is enhancing interdisciplinary learning. The second is building upon student-centered learning. The third is fostering creative work and innovation. The fourth is cultivating human dignity and ethical leadership. And, finally, leveraging Webster's global campus network. I hope you enjoyed my presentation, and as the HITS motto states, be someone special. Be a HIT.